The day laughter became Earth's shield. The morning started like any other Tuesday across Earth. People rushed to work, children walked to school, and the world spun peacefully through space. Then the sky darkened. Massive shadows fell across every major city on the planet. New York, Tokyo, London, Mumbai, São Paulo. Everywhere humans looked up, they saw the same impossible sight. Ships, enormous crystalline vessels that gleamed like black diamonds against the blue sky. Each one was the size of a mountain, hovering silently above the cities below. Admiral Zexthor stood on the command bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Conquest. His forearms crossed behind his back as he gazed down at the blue-green world beneath his fleet. After 300 cycles of planning, the Krovar Empire had finally found the perfect target. Earth appeared defenseless, primitive, and ripe for conquest. "Begin the intimidation protocol," Zexthor commanded, his deep voice echoing through the bridge. His silver skin gleamed under the ship's lights, and his 6 eyes focused intently on the planet below. On Earth, every electronic device suddenly activated. Television screens flickered to life in empty rooms. Cell phones buzzed in pockets. Digital billboards lit up across cities. Then came the message, broadcast in perfect English, Mandarin, Spanish, and dozens of other languages simultaneously. "People of Earth," the voice boomed from every speaker on the planet. "I am Admiral Zexthor of the Krovar Empire. Your world now belongs to us. Surrender immediately and your end will be swift. Resist and suffer the consequences of defying the galaxy's greatest military force." The message ended. The ships remained, dark and threatening against the sky. In the Pentagon's Deep Communication Center, Dr. Maya Chen stared at her monitoring equipment in fascination rather than fear. As Earth's lead specialist in xenolinguistics, a field that had been purely theoretical until 10 minutes ago, she found herself suddenly very busy. "They're using quantum-entangled communication networks," she muttered, adjusting her thick-rimmed glasses. "The language processing is incredible. They've analyzed our entire internet in minutes." Captain Rick Torres, the military liaison assigned to her department, paced behind her workstation. "Dr. Chen, we need a response. What do we tell them?" Maya paused, considering. She had spent years studying human communication patterns, but now she was thinking about something else entirely. "Captain, what makes humans unique?" "What?" Torres stopped pacing. "I'm serious. What makes us different from any other species these aliens might have encountered?" Torres frowned. "Our military capabilities, our technology?" Maya shook her head. "No, they clearly outclass us there. But there's something else, something they might not understand." Above Earth, Admiral Zexthor waited. His experience told him that within 1 standard hour, the planet's leaders would broadcast their surrender. It was always the same pattern: fear, panic, desperate negotiations, then submission. But something was wrong. Young analyst Blixtar, fresh from the Krovar Military Academy, approached the Admiral's station. "Sir, we're receiving communications from Earth." "Excellent. Their surrender?" Blixtar's expression grew confused. "No, sir. They're sending us pictures." "Pictures?" "And videos, sir. Thousands of them. They appear to be jokes?" Zexthor turned all 6 eyes toward the analyst. "Jokes?" On the main view screen, images began appearing. A photo of one of their ships with text reading, "Mom said we could have aliens if we cleaned our room. Guess the room wasn't clean enough. They brought the whole neighborhood." Another showed a person holding a sign, "Welcome to Earth. Population, now 8 billion to plus, however many of you folks there are up there." Across Earth, something remarkable was happening. Instead of cowering in fear, humans were laughing. Street performers in Paris began doing exaggerated alien impressions, complete with wobbling tentacles made from pool noodles. In Tokyo, someone had already created a dance called the Mothership Shuffle. New York's comedy clubs extended their hours and changed their signs to "now serving intergalactic audiences." Dr. Maya Chen watched the global response through her monitoring systems and smiled. "Captain Torres, I think I know what we should do." "What's your plan, Doctor?" We're going to do something no other species has probably ever done when faced with an invasion, which is, we're going to perform. Meanwhile, on the Eternal Conquest, Admiral Zexthor was experiencing something he had never felt in 300 cycles of military service. Complete bewilderment. "Sir," reported Communications Officer Vextal, "Earth's response is unusual. They've sent us something called a meme compilation." "A what?" "It appears to be a collection of humorous images and short videos, sir. Many of them feature us." The main screen displayed a video of a human comedian doing an impression of an alien invasion. The comedian wore a cardboard helmet and spoke in a dramatically deep voice. "Greetings, Earthlings. We have traveled 1,000,000 light years to tell you. We've been trying to reach you about your planet's extended warranty. Something unprecedented happened on the Krovar Bridge." Blixtar made a sound that his species hadn't made in centuries. He chuckled. Admiral Zexthor whirled around. "Analyst Blixtar, what was that sound?" I don't know, sir. The human entertainment made me feel light inside." This was becoming a problem. The Krovar Empire conquered through fear and intimidation. They had perfected the art of psychological warfare over millennia. But these humans weren't afraid. They were treating the invasion like some sort of festival. Back on Earth, Dr. Maya Chen put her plan into action. She had convinced the world's leaders to let her try something unprecedented. Within hours, she had coordinated with television networks, social media platforms, and entertainment companies across the globe. "Ladies and gentlemen," came the announcement on every channel, "welcome to Earth's first intergalactic comedy hour. Tonight's special guests, our new friends from the Krovar Empire." The broadcast began with a human comedian standing on a stage in front of a green screen showing the alien ships. "So aliens finally visit Earth," the comedian began, "and they come in ships that look like giant mood rings. I guess space doesn't have a good interior decorator." The audience laughed, and the sound was broadcast directly to every Krovar ship. Admiral Zexthor stood frozen as the strange sounds filled his bridge. His crew was behaving oddly. Some were making the same sound Blixtar had made. Others were staring at the screens with expressions he had never seen before. "Sir," reported Tactical Officer Klexmar, "this might be some form of psychological warfare. These sounds and images appear to be affecting our crew's mental state." "Are we under attack?" Zexthor demanded. I don't think so, sir. It's more like they're trying to make us happy." The word hung in the air. Happy. It wasn't a concept the Krovar military had much experience with. On Earth, the comedy show continued. A juggler performed while someone behind him held up signs with alien jokes. A dance troupe performed the Welcome to Earth routine. Children sent drawings of themselves playing with friendly aliens. But the real turning point came when a small girl from Kansas appeared on screen. She couldn't have been more than 8 years old, and she looked directly into the camera, directly at Admiral Zexthor, though she couldn't know it. "Hi, space friends," she said with a gap-toothed smile. "I drew you a picture." She held up a crayon drawing showing humans and stick-figure aliens holding hands under a bright yellow sun. "I hope you like Earth. We have really good ice cream here." On the bridge of the Eternal Conquest, something extraordinary happened. Admiral Zexthor felt his rigid military composure crack. The innocent joy in the child's voice, the pure welcome in her drawing, the complete absence of fear or hatred. It was unlike anything he had encountered in 3 centuries of conquest. "Sir," whispered Blixtar, "are we really going to destroy them?" Before Zexthor could answer, every alarm on every ship began blaring at once. "Admiral," shouted the sensor operator, "multiple contacts approaching from deep space. It's the Vexhari swarm." The blood froze in Zexthor's veins. The Vexhari swarm, the galaxy's most feared destroyers. They didn't conquer worlds. They consumed them entirely, leaving nothing but empty space behind. On Earth, Dr. Maya Chen's monitoring equipment detected the new arrivals. "Captain Torres," she said quietly, "we have a problem. Someone else just crashed our first contact party." The comedy show was still broadcasting when the second fleet appeared. These ships were different. Organic-looking, writhing like living things against the stars. They were 3 times larger than the Krovar vessels and radiated an aura of pure menace. Admiral Zexthor faced an impossible choice. He had come to conquer Earth, but now found himself oddly protective of the strange little world that had made his crew laugh. The Vexhari would show no mercy to humans or Krovar alike, as the 2 massive fleets faced each other in Earth's orbit. With 8 billion humans watching from below, one thing became clear: the real test was just beginning. When comedy conquered the cosmos, the Vexhari swarm filled Earth's sky like a plague of metal locusts. Their biomechanical ships pulsed with sickly green light, each vessel covered in what looked like thousands of hungry mouths. Where the Krovar fleet had been intimidating, the Vexhari were terrifying in a way that made nightmares seem pleasant. Admiral Zexthor watched the newcomers with growing dread. In his 300 cycles of military service, he had only heard whispers about the Vexhari. They were the reason entire sectors went silent, why ancient civilizations left behind nothing but empty ruins. "Incoming transmission," reported Communications Officer Vexidal, his voice trembling. The main screen flickered, revealing something that barely looked alive. The Vexhari Swarm Lord was a writhing mass of tentacles and mechanical implants, speaking through multiple mouths that opened and closed randomly across its form. "Krovar scum," it hissed. "You dare claim this feeding ground? The Vexhari have come to consume. Stand aside or be devoured with the meat creatures below." Admiral Zexthor felt his 4 arms clench into fists. 12 hours ago he would have gladly left any world to the Vexhari. But something had changed. The memory of that human child's drawing, the sound of his crew laughing, the strange warmth he had felt watching the comedy broadcast. It all made him do something completely unexpected. "Negative, Swarm Lord. The Krovar Empire has claimed this system." The silence that followed could have been measured in heartbeats across 2 fleets. On Earth, Dr. Maya Chen watched the standoff through her monitoring equipment, while Captain Torres coordinated with military leaders worldwide. The situation had gone from unprecedented to catastrophic in minutes. "Dr. Chen," Torres said urgently, "our satellites are picking up massive energy signatures from both fleets. If they start fighting in our orbit—" "I know," Maya replied, her mind racing. "But maybe we don't have to just watch." She turned to her communication array, the same equipment that had been broadcasting Earth's comedy show to the Krovar fleet. An insane idea was forming in her mind. "Captain, what if we tried the same approach with the newcomers? Are you serious? Those things look like they want to eat us." "Exactly. They're so focused on being scary that they might not know how to handle not being taken seriously." Meanwhile, young analyst Blixtar was experiencing an emotion his species rarely acknowledged: protectiveness. He found himself thinking about the human child with the crayon drawing, about the comedian who had made him laugh, about the street performers who had treated their arrival like a celebration instead of an invasion. "Admiral," he said quietly, "what if we helped them?" Zexthor turned all 6 eyes toward his youngest officer. "Helped who, analyst?" "The humans, sir. They showed us something we'd never seen before. What if we protected them?" Before Zexthor could respond, every human communication system on Earth activated simultaneously. Dr. Maya Chen's voice, translated through the same quantum systems the aliens had used, reached both fleets at once. "Hello, everyone." Maya's voice was cheerful, almost aggressively friendly. "Welcome to Earth's first intergalactic comedy emergency. We see you're all having a disagreement up there, and well, that's what we humans call a mood killer." On screens, across both fleets, the Earth broadcast continued. This time it wasn't just one comedian. Every major city on Earth had coordinated something unprecedented, a planet-wide performance. In London, Shakespeare actors performed Hamlet with aliens as the main characters. In Mumbai, Bollywood dancers created a spectacular routine welcoming both fleets. In Rio, the entire carnival community had assembled for an impromptu parade celebrating Universal Friendship Day. But the centerpiece was in New York, where comedians from around the world had gathered for what they called the ultimate icebreaker. "So," began a comedian standing in Times Square, surrounded by hundreds of humans holding signs reading, "We, come in peace and pizza," and Earth open 24/7 for friendship. We've got 2 alien fleets in our sky and they seem to be having a territorial dispute. Now, where I come from, we settle these things with rock, paper, scissors, but I'm guessing you folks might have different rules. The human crowd laughed and cheered. The sound was broadcast directly to both fleets. On the Vex-Hari command ship, the Swarm Lord writhed in confusion. In 10,000 years of consuming worlds, they had never encountered anything like this. The meat creatures below were supposed to be screaming, running, begging for mercy. Instead, they were performing. What? Is this, the Swarm Lord demanded of its subordinates? Some form of psychological warfare? Unknown, Swarm Lord. The creatures appear to be entertaining themselves and us? The comedy show continued. A juggler began keeping multiple balls in the air while riding a unicycle, dedicating his performance to our new cosmic neighbors. A magician made flowers appear from thin air and somehow launched them toward the orbiting ships. Of course, they couldn't reach space, but the gesture was impossible to misunderstand. On the Krovar flagship, something remarkable was happening. The crew was no longer just watching the human broadcast. They were anticipating the next joke, enjoying the music, and some were even attempting to mimic the dance moves they saw. Blixtar had tears in his eyes, another sensation Krovar rarely experienced. "Admiral, they're including us in their celebration. They're not afraid of us or the Vex-Hari. They're trying to make friends with everyone." Admiral Zexthor felt something shift deep in his chest. For 300 cycles he had believed that strength came from fear, that power meant conquest. But these humans were showing him something different. They were facing 2 superior military forces and responding with joy, creativity, and welcome. The comedy show reached its crescendo when a small orchestra began playing. But this wasn't just any music. It was a composition that incorporated mathematical sequences, quantum harmonics, and acoustic patterns designed to be beautiful to any species, with auditory perception. As the music played, children from around the world appeared on screen, each holding up drawings. Pictures of humans and various imagined alien species playing together, exploring space together, sharing meals together. The drawings were crude in the way only children's art could be, but they radiated pure, innocent hope. On the Vex-Hari command ship, something unprecedented occurred. One of the smaller mouths on the Swarm Lord's body made a sound that wasn't a hiss, growl, or threat. It was almost musical. "Swarm Lord?" questioned a subordinate. "Are you harmonizing?" The Swarm Lord's multiple eyes focused on the screen showing human children. In 10,000 years of consumption, it had never paused to consider what they were destroying. These weren't just meat creatures to be devoured. They were beings, capable of hope, creativity, and something the Vex-Hari had forgotten they once possessed: wonder. Admiral Zexthor seized the moment. "Open a channel to both Earth and the Vex-Hari fleet." "Sir?" "Do it." The transmission activated and Zexthor's image appeared on screens across both fleets and every device on Earth. "People of Earth," he began, his voice carrying none of its earlier menace. "I am Admiral Zexthor. I came here to conquer your world. Instead, you have conquered something I thought was unconquerable, the heart of a Krovar warrior." He turned toward the Vex-Hari fleet. "Swarm Lord, these beings offer something neither of our species has seen in millennia. They offer joy without conquest, welcome without submission, hope without naivety. They know we could destroy them, yet they choose to celebrate our arrival." The Swarm Lord's writhing slowed. When it spoke, its voice carried a strange note, almost like curiosity. "The meat creatures, they do not fear consumption? They fear it," came Dr. Maya Chen's voice, broadcast clearly across all channels. "But they choose joy anyway. That's what makes us human." What happened next would be recorded in galactic history as the moment everything changed. The Swarm Lord, ancient beyond measure and terrible beyond description, made a decision that defied 10,000 years of instinct. "Vex-Hari fleet, stand down." We will not consume this world. Admiral Zexthor felt something his species had rarely experienced: pride in doing the right thing instead of the victorious thing. Krovar Fleet new directive. We are no longer conquerors. We are guardians. The celebration that erupted on Earth could be seen from space. Every city lit up with fireworks, music, and dancing. But more importantly, both alien fleets began receiving something they had never experienced: invitations. Any aliens who want to come down for pizza are welcome in New York, announced the mayor over global broadcast. Tokyo is hosting an intergalactic friendship festival, came another announcement. London would like to invite our space visitors for tea and proper introductions. Young Blixtar was the first to request permission to visit the surface. Within hours, shuttles from both fleets were landing in major cities around the world. The images broadcast back to the fleets showed Krovar soldiers learning to dance with humans in Sao Paulo, Vexhari scouts being taught to play chess in Moscow, and children from around the world teaching aliens how to draw with crayons. Dr. Maya Chen stood in the United Nations building, now converted into Earth's first intergalactic embassy, watching the impossible scene outside. Humans and aliens were sharing street food, playing music together, and figuring out how to communicate, beyond language barriers. "You know," said Captain Torres, joining her at the window, "this morning I thought we were facing the end of the world. Instead," Maya replied with a smile, "we found the beginning of something much bigger." Admiral Zexthor and the Swarm Lord met in person for the first time on the UN building's rooftop. They stood together, watching their ancient enemy species, learning to laugh alongside humans in Central Park below. "In 10,000 years," mused the Swarm Lord, its voice now carrying wonder instead of menace, "we consumed everything we encountered. We forgot that life could create as well as destroy." "In 300 cycles," replied Zexthor, "I believed strength meant conquest. These humans taught me that the greatest strength is choosing to build rather than tear down." The official signing of the Galactic Comedy Accords took place 1 week later. Earth became the galaxy's first humor embassy, a neutral ground where conflicts would be resolved through understanding, creativity, and laughter instead of warfare. The Accords established 3 fundamental principles that would reshape galactic civilization. First, that any species capable of joy deserves protection rather than conquest. Second, that humor and creativity are universal languages that transcend biological differences. Third, that the universe is infinitely more interesting when filled with friends rather than subjects. As the ceremony concluded, a small human child, the same girl from Kansas who had drawn the picture, approached Admiral Zexthor with a new drawing. This one showed humans, Krovar, and Vexhari exploring the stars together, with a caption written in crayon, "Best friends forever in space." Admiral Zexthor, the galaxy's most feared military commander, knelt down to accept the drawing and discovered that his 6 eyes were leaking, another sensation his species had forgotten they could experience. "Thank you, small human," he said softly. "This is the greatest treasure the Krovar Empire has ever received." The girl beamed up at him. "You're welcome. Do you want to see our playground? We built a really good rocket ship in the sandbox." And so began the age when laughter truly conquered the cosmos, proving that sometimes the most powerful weapon in the universe is simply choosing to be kind.